Hi everyone. In today's lecture we are going to study about swap space management. So in our previous module we have seen what is swapping. We have also discussed that swapping is moving of entire processes between disk and main memory, right? So swapping in that setting occurs when the amount of physical memory reaches a critical low point and processes. That is when the process becomes very least active. If is there any processes which is very least active, which is not participating in doing any task, then such processes need to be swapped out of the main memory and we have to free their memory. So here swapping takes place when certain processes reach the least active state, and in that case we are going to move or we are going to swap the entire process out of the memory. But in practice the system does not work in this fashion, because it may swap only some part of the processes, not the entire process. It may swap out only some part of the processes, or it may swap out only some pages instead of swapping out the entire process. It may swap out only some pages. Therefore swap space management is considered as another low level task. Here virtual memory uses disk space as an extension of main memory, and since the disk access is much slower than memory access, using swap space significantly decreases system performance, right? Already accessing disk is a slower task. Upon that, if you use swap space, then again it is going to decrease the system performance even more. Therefore, the main goal of swap space management is to provide the best throughput for the virtual memory system. What is a throughput? It is nothing but the system performance. So, our goal is to provide the best performance, best system performance for the virtual memory system. That's why swap space management is required. And this swap space can be used in different ways depending upon the memory management algorithms that are used in the operating system. So in the first way, the systems that implement swapping may use swap space to hold an entire process image. So in the first approach, the system may use the swap space to hold an entire process image that includes code as well as data segments. And paging systems may simply store pages that have been pushed out of main memory. So in the second approach, some systems may use paging or storing pages that have been pushed out of main memory. So only in order to store only those pages which have been pushed out of the main memory, paging systems can use the swap space. Therefore, the amount of swap space needed on a system may vary depending on the amount of physical memory as well as the virtual memory. Therefore, it can range from few megabytes to gigabytes. So, it is always safer to estimate the amount of space, the amount of swap space is more than what it is required. So instead of underestimating the amount of swap space required, we should always overestimate it. I'll tell you what happens if you underestimate the amount of swap space required. So if there is not enough swap space is there to hold a particular process, then that particular process may be forced to abort or it may crash entirely. So this will be a harmful situation for the operating system. So if at all a process aborts forcefully, then it will be a harmful situation. Therefore, it is always advisable to overestimate the amount of swap space used. So even though overestimation wastes disk space, but it does not make any harm to the operating system, right? Even though it wastes some disk space, it will not harm any process. Therefore, while estimating the amount of space required, you should always take care that it should be you should be like your operating system should have enough space, swap space for the process. Okay, then comes the swap space location. The next question is to where to store this swap space. So this swap space can be located in two places. That is, it can be carved out of the normal file system. That is, it can be located within the normal file system, or it can be in a separate disk partition. Swap space can be carved out of the normal file system, or it can be in a separate disk partition. If the swap space is simply a large file within the file system, then normal file system routines can be used to create it, name it and allocate it its space. So even though it is very easy to implement, it is inefficient. So locating the swap space within the file system is inefficient. Why? Because navigating through the directory structure and the disk allocation data structures requires time, right? And also it requires extra disk accesses. And also external fragmentation may increase because of this approach. Therefore, instead of using the first approach, it is better to use the second approach, that is locating the swap space in a separate disk partition. So when a swap space is created in a separate raw partition, no other file system or directory structure will be placed in that space. So instead of locating our swap space inside the file system, we can create that swap space within a separate raw partition. So in that partition, only swap space will be present. No other file system or directory structure will be placed along with that swap space. Rather, a separate swap space storage manager can be used. So this manager is used to allocate and deallocate the blocks from the raw partition. So it is the job of the swap space storage manager to allocate and deallocate the blocks from the raw partition. Whatever is required by the swap space that will be provided from the raw partition by the storage manager. So this manager uses some algorithm which is concerned about the speed. It is not concerned about storage efficiency. So it only takes care of the speed of access. It does not care about the storage efficiency, because the swap space is considered to be accessed much more frequently than the file systems. Correct. Swap space, we would be requiring the swap space much more frequently than the file systems. So because of this, internal fragmentation may increase, but this internal fragmentation is acceptable because the life of any data on the swap space is very short. Since the swap space is a temporary storage, it means that once you reboot your system, all the data stored in the swap space will be deleted. That's why, or it will be reinitialized. That's why this internal fragmentation is also going to be short lived on the swap space. That's why you don't have to concern about internal fragmentation. This is completely acceptable. And this approach creates a fixed amount of swap space during the disk partition. Okay. Let's consider an example for the swap space management. So, our modern operating system allocates swap space only when a page is forced out of the physical memory rather than when the virtual memory page is first created. So our older systems used to have used to allocate swap space when the virtual memory page is created. But instead of following this method, the modern system uses allocation of swap space if and only if the page is forced out of the physical memory. So by following this scheme, there is a comparable difference in the performance. So this scheme improved the performance of the system because we don't have to allocate swap space when the virtual memory page is created. It will be allocated if and only if page is forced out of the physical memory. That's why it increased the performance of the system. So this is the example of data structures for swapping on Linux systems. How Linux systems uses swapping. Here there is a swap area. This is the swap area which has which consists of series of 4 KB page slots. So these are the series of page slots with the size of 4 KB. So each of them have 4 KB size. And these are used to hold swapped pages. So whenever the page is being swapped out of the main memory, this slot is going to hold those pages. and this swap area may be stored in either swap file or on a raw swap partition. And each of this swap area will be associated with one swap map. Each of them will be associated with one swap map. This swap map is nothing but an array of integer counters. So you can see that it is an array of integer counters, and each of them is corresponding to a page slot in the swap area. So each one of them will be corresponding to a particular page slot available in the swap area. So if the value of the counter is 0, it means that that corresponding page slot is available. If the value of the counter is 0, it indicates that the corresponding page slot is available. If the value is greater than 0, it means that the page slot is already occupied by a swap page. Here 1 indicates that this particular page slot is already occupied by some swapped page, and value of 3 indicates the swapped page is mapped to 3 different processes. So there are 3 different processes which belong to this page slot or which are held in this page slot. So you can say that the page slot is available if and only if its corresponding counter is 0. Okay. So this is the data structure for swapping on Linux systems. So in our next class, we are going to start with the second chapter of this module.